So I greet you from Huntsville, Alabama, where it is my home now, and I'm glad about that transition. Let us go to our Bible. Let's read this in concert right where you are. This is my Bible. It contains basic instructions before leaving Earth. It is a primary resource in the development of my relationship with God. While I believe it is inspired by God, it is not God. It is not to be used as a weapon, but an instrument of liberation and life. I will pray over it as I study it, and I will interpret it through the inspiration of the Holy Spirit within. I have the right to question it as I apply its teachings to my life. My heart is open, my mind is alert, and I am ready to receive a word from the Lord. Amen, amen. And I do believe that the God in me, and I have spent some time thinking about what to share, and so what came up for me is this scripture, which I'm going to reference today, which is Nehemiah 4:10 and 11. And the Bible states that when the people of Judah began to complain, the workers are getting tired and there is so much rubble to be moved. We will never be able to build the wall by ourselves. I need you to get that. Build the wall by ourselves. Meanwhile, our enemies, the things that are distracting, we're saying before they know what's happening, we will swoop down, get this, swoop down on them and kill them and in their work. So I want you to remember a couple things. We will not be able to build the wall by ourselves and in their work. Okay, you get what I'm saying? So if I had to place a title on this, and Johnson asked me earlier what was my title, and I laughed out loud, and she said, "Is that your title, Laugh Out Loud?" And I said, "Well, I just don't have one. I need you to know that." But as I was sitting here, I came up with Soaring Above Discouragement, right? We are in a time when there's so much that we are taking in. We are just filtering in so much. We're experiencing, we are dealing with it, and so much in this very moment. We are coming off of a change in head of government, overwhelming loss from this pandemic, being isolated and sheltered in place for over a year, countless senseless violence to our trans siblings and black and brown brothers, and verdicts, a verdict that just came, that just gave us a snapshot of a change, and more opportunities are coming, right? That's what we're dealing with today, to engage outside of our home, even when their COVID is still existing, right? And while people are being vaccinated, what seems to be some light, we are still experiencing some type of post-trauma, right? It is now May. We're shifting into the month of May. April is coming out, right? And so I remember my elders would say, April showers bring May flowers. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Just give a shout out or a heart to me, so I'll know that you're paying attention. That April showers bring May flowers, right? And flowers blooming represents thriving and freshness and beauty. But at this very moment, as we are in some spaces that seems not to be so fresh or so beautiful, for some it's a space of unknown. I'm gonna park that unknown right there. For some, it's a space of unknown. Park that unknown right there. I need you to get that unknown, right? And with all that's going on, some may not know what the steps are for them going forward. The impacts of these past 15 months leaves many with the question of, how do I pick up after the result? How do I pick up after the impact? Or how do I show up when it's time to go back to work after being off from work without having a job because of COVID, or working from home for more than a year, right? How do I show up when I gained 30 more pounds being at home, and now I have to go back to work? That meme, Johnson, that you showed on Refuel was a reminder to that, right? For so many people, how do we show up when and pick up after results? How do we pick up after COVID? Is it really over? The answer is no, it's not. It's still there. So pay attention. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Pay attention. How do we pick up after the conviction? How do we pick up after the loss of another family member? How do we pick up after we've not been selected for the job? How do we pick up after the divorce or the loss? How do we pick up after our Black girls being hypersexualized? How do we pick up after knowing that our Black women still don't feel protected? How do we pick up after knowing that our Black trans women deaths numbers are still soaring high, or failing or falling down after you tried over and over? How do we pick up after that? Each question just mentioned to you has been one that you may have asked yourself. I want to lean in even more and bring to you hearing and awareness of what I consider to be the 7 deadly Ds. And I can't take ownership. I don't know which one of our preachers mentioned this, but this was in my notes from a couple years ago. The 7 deadly Ds that you're possibly wrestling with that has caused pause in your life. Pause in your life. These are the 7 Ds that I want to bring to your attention that is consistently swarming within us, and at any moment can show up and rise up in us, that creates opportunity to be derailed and shift us off some sense of course. It's these emotions that rise up in us when we have to endure some trauma or have endured trauma, some disappointment, bad news, or even unwanted messaging. Many in this very moment could be dealing with these 7 deadly Ds, and I'll name them real quick. It's dealing with discouragement, dealing with defeat, dealing with disappointment, dealing with difficulty, dealing with delay, and dealing with doubt, which also brings on dealing with depression. Hello, somebody. If you can relate to any of those 7 deadly Ds, go ahead and put that in the chat so we know that we're not by ourselves. Hello. But for me, what I want to focus on today is the discouragement part. It is one of the deadly 7s that will be the wall that can surround us, that will hold us from the abundant life that Jesus said that we should have and seek and live for. Discouragement generally occurs when our expectations, what we think should happen, don't align with reality. I'll say that again. Discouragement generally occurs when our expectations, what we think, what we feel should happen, don't align with what's really going on. like really what's happening. It's with our impacts or the results that is a hit to our confidence. It's a blow to our power in a sense. It drains us. And discouragement is a wig snatcher. It's that thing that just rises up immediately and have you believe something different than what you believed 2 seconds ago. It makes us feel like we aren't smart enough, or our talents isn't up to par, or we're not cute enough, or it's where we lose our enthusiasm, man. We begin to isolate and begin to release these negative statements from our tongue. If you missed the last 2 services, I think you might want to go back, because it speaks exactly to that. We begin to fall back exactly into that place that Reverend was leading us out of these last 2 Sundays. Discouragement, hello somebody, sets in when we get exhausted and we're feeling tired, and when we feel we are in a space of that we have prepared and so much, and then boom, it comes and it hits us like a freight train. And have you ever shout damn it, or have you ever had a Florence Good Time Evans damn? Have you ever had a moment where you have tried all that you can do and it still is not working? I know you've done your very best. You've been there. You stayed. You heard the doctor come in with you for bad news. The meds aren't working, even though you've been taking them. The bill seems to never get low, even though you're paying. The IRS is still auditing you, even though you just paid off the last agreement that you had from the last audit. I need somebody to shout somebody right there. Time after time, you hear these preachers talk about pushing through. I'm a push through preacher. Like, I will preach that to the end of the day I die. We got to continue to push through. There is a bright day coming, or the next level of understanding. But at this very moment, you are tired of being discouraged. How do I pick up after that? How do I pick up after the impact? How do I pick myself up after the result? You want to give up what you have worked for and desire because of this moment that has you discouraged. You want to love, but the last relationship had you on the edge of no return, and oh, nobody wants me, or I'm not good enough for them. I can contest. I've been in this space. I was also going through forfeit. I remember saying that I'm not going to do this again. I'm going to go out here and just be a hoe. That's the truth. Hello, somebody. And I'm just going to go ahead and just live in it. And I don't want to commit to nobody. It was a moment because I tried over and over and over, and the discouragement of that emotion started rising up, and it had me thinking that I will never ever meet anyone based on these expectations, but then not being clear about what's really going on with me, the reality. I need you to catch that. Thanks, shout out to Christopher LaShawn, who loves me unconditionally. I love you, man. Thank you for your unwavering support. And so I'm going to go back to you thinking and feeling and talking yourself right back into the cells of darkness. And how do I pick up from that? Systematic racism and white supremacy is more noticeable in front of your face, impacting you, punching you every single day. We are saturated in seeing the violence and how the government is shifting and moving, and social media, and is allowing the discouragement that's in us to rise up against us. See, we have seen discouragement on our faces of our ancestors and our grandmothers and our fathers and our mothers, and it kind of did a little bookmark in our memory. I need you to catch that. And we've associated those looks and those feelings with what's really going on with us in our past. I know Malcolm, I know Martin, I know Henrietta, Obama surely got discouraged at some point. I know there were times when they got tired and weary. And I know for a fact that discouragement has the power to eat at our hearts. It can be just as powerful as the opposite, which is faith. It has the power to stop us from dreaming and moving in our vision. It has the power to make you stop practicing your art, your gift, your calling, your purpose. Over the last 6 months, I've encountered so many people out here in Huntsville who refuse to use their gift, who refuse to walk in their calling because of abuse from the church or abuse of a partner who told them that they never want to be anything, or their parents. I know people trained and educated in the art of singing, but will not use their voice to bless the people because of how they were treated and how they were told that it wasn't good enough. And it allowed their discouragement in them to rise up and kill the dreams that they had. And it's been locked up in their chest. It's been locked up in their deeper part of their gut. And they will never, ever dive deeper to unlock that chest. That voice keeps playing over and over in our head. You can't, you won't, you're not allowed, you're not good enough. And it continues to go deeply rooted, and it just anchors into us. You can't be an engineer. You can't be a doctor. You're too black. You're too dark. You're too fat. All of these things, you won't be able to stop in your addiction. Each time you give into these memories and these responses based on the power of the discouragement. What do you mean, preacher, by giving into the memories? For some, our memories are attached to trigger words or real-time feeling that you're experiencing in the moment. So when someone mentions a certain word, it triggers that memory of when you were feeling discouragement and what you've associated with that word. And it rises up and it creates these barricades for you to progress. I'm reminded of the Marvel Winter Soldier. He's one of the baddest comic characters from Marvel. And he could be in his right mind, living his simple and quiet life. And when they, people, stuff, news anchors and persons, mom, preacher's dad, when they need to activate the discouragement or the power within the Winter Soldier, I need you to catch this, when they needed to activate him for some assignment to destroy or bring harm, they would just say certain trigger words and boom, he was able to be controlled. And the person who spoke those words can have him do any and everything that they want him to do. Or when you think about when you see a picture, your brain connects back to that whole experience, and then your mood changes. Like seeing a picture of an ex. Have you ever thought about that? And then you get discouraged. That's exactly what I'm referring to. And there are people in your life who holds the book and the power of these trigger words and these trigger experiences, and that would cause you for the discouragement to rise up back into you, and then you're leading into the other 6 other Ds. Okay, and the main one also, discouragement is a formula into depression. And I need you to catch that. We have been talking about hope and faith and pushing through. But what I can tell you is that discouragement will kill your hope. And like the cold front will kill the roses that were starting to bloom. See, God gave us a mind to work. That's the people that Nehemiah was orchestrating and had assembled. They were there to work, to create, to teach, to learn, to fight, to be full of life, to bloom, to soar. Discouragement will have you forget about God. It will have you forget about all the accomplishments and progresses that you've already made. It will have you forget about the promise. It will make you feel like you are useless and inadequate. The Bible says, Nehemiah, in that chapter, that people had been assembled to build, but then got weary. They were tired, and they began to see all that they needed to do. They started to see what more they needed to do. And while they were looking at that, and they should get that, they had people on the sidelines not being supportive, talking about how they want to kill them, how they wanted to end the work, how they didn't want the wall to be built. They saw what was in front of them, and they was listening to what was on the side of them, and they started getting discouraged. Mocking, taunting, threatening, reminded them of that they were losers, that you're never going to be anything. I know somebody knows what I'm talking about. And then the share the work that needed to be done. And somebody mentioned that we're going to swoop in and kill your hopes to end your work. Your work. Not your mama's work, not my work, your work. Right now, there is someone or something that is trying to end your work. Work. Whatever that calling, whatever that purpose, whatever you need to do in life, whether that's to be an encouragement or motivated in that moment, if you continue to allow discouragement to end your work, you cannot do and be all that God has that you want to be. Whatever or whoever is taunting you or reminding you that what you dream of you can't do is trying to end your work. It is trying to remind you that you aren't enough. That is in trying to end your work. You cannot allow, we are not in a space where we can end our work. Our work must continue. There are still people killing themselves. There are still people who feel like they aren't worthy. There's still people who don't know that God is love. There's still people who are locked in a box because their old pastor told them that if you love the same sex, you're going to go to this fictitious place of hell. Hello. And it will end your work. Discouragement will end your work. So soaring above the discouragement, how do I do that? How do I pick up? How do I rise up above? How do I not be weak? See, here's the thing. Especially if you got friends who aren't adding value to your life, right? Who is constantly reminding you of how you mucked up, or what you didn't do right, or without offering some solutions or some options. Hello. Discouragement wants to destroy your optimism. It wants to destroy your vision, your goals. It wants to show up so that it can make you weak and dismantled and confused and chaotic, so that you don't or aren't aware. There's power in discouragement that sits in us. And so I mentioned earlier about this unknown space. I said, park it. Remember I said that? Well, I had you park it because the truth is none of this is unknown or unfamiliar to us. Today, I want to share some ways of how you can pick up after these impacts, how you can rise and soar above the discouragement. After these experiences and moments in your life where you feel you have failed and lean towards the discouragement, today I come to remind you, God bless me with sharing a word that will not have you believe about an unknown territory and how to pick up after it is all there. So first, I want you to do a couple things. Pay attention. I want you to pay attention to your past. Now, I know that there's been a lot of opportunities where people say, don't look in the rear view mirror, don't pay attention to what's in the past, what's done is done, go ahead and close that book. Well, I am inviting you to open up all the books. I'm inviting you to open up all the chests. I am even willing to sit and share that I want you to dive down to the deepest part of your soul and get that stuff that you have locked up or didn't want to deal with for so long. I know it might sound crazy, and I feel you, but I want you to go and reinforce the good things that you've lived for or lived in. I want you to go and focus on the push through times, the times where you did make it out, the times that you did get triggered, the times that you did win. I want you to do this because I want you to start changing the narrative in our heads and use the memories of our past to help defend the discouragement. Well, what are you talking about? I'm talking about when you did come through, when you did work it out, when you did win, when you did play your best, and discouragement set in, and you still was able to pick up. I want you to know that after you got the divorce, or after you broke up with that person, or after they left you, you know, while there was some moments of unsurety, but you did come out of it. I want you to remember those times. I want you to remember the day that the sun shined on your face and you did smile. I want you to remember how you did meet someone after you did break up 7 months with somebody. I want you to remember the basketball game that you did win. I want you to remember the times when you did do well in an interview. Hello. I want you to remember the time that when somebody did tell you you were beautiful. Remember the time that you did lose weight. Remember the time that you did stop smoking, or when you didn't go out and use sex as a way to refuel you, or to bandage up, to make you feel good. I want you to remember the time when you did sit to the side and you did think about your next steps. When you did put all of that into practice, you have to remember your wins, and you have to, you know, that is a technique to help combat discouragement, because it is very powerful. The truth is, you have picked up before. You have. I need you to know that you have to remember the good experiences. Often, sometimes we focus on these bad things and we allow the trigger. So now I want you to think about it. Write a list. Write down all of those moments where you worked it out, where you were vulnerable, where you shared, and all that, which leads me to my next point. I want you to pay attention to the present time, the very moment that you're in it. Sit for a moment, right? And think about what just happened. Accept it. Accept what just happened. Don't be in denial about the loss or the feeling or the emotion that you're going through. Be fully present with it all. So when discouragement comes up within you, ask yourself some questions. What was that about? What happened? Could I have done something different? Was I seeking a different result? What did the picture make me feel like? Why did the picture make me feel that way? Dive deeper into you, and so that you will be able to. And I love the Batman line because it fits in so well. Shift into this state of being vulnerable so that it will make you become so aware of it in the moment. Share with someone, talk to someone. That assistance by sharing with someone, they may be able to share something to you that will help you get to a clear plan. Nehemiah didn't just stop when the people was talking trash. They were saying, we're going to kill, we're going to attack. The people were like, oh, I can't do it. I'm not quite sure. I'm tired. I don't think it's worth it. He didn't stop. He kept moving. He was in the moment, so that being in the moment strengthens your awareness. And in being strengthened, in your awareness being strengthened, it allows you to focus on ways out. It allows you to start planning, making the next move. I need you to get that. Sometimes we must shift our pride to the side, and we must start speaking out what is going on with us in the very minute. Be very vulnerable in the minute and expose it all. In that moment, I need you to find yourself a sounding board. That's connecting. Connect with someone. Share with someone. And so if you practice the first point by remembering the past and the wins and the pickup times and write that list, that when you're in the moment and you are aware of what's really going on, that vulnerable state, right? If you pay attention to that and you go back to the list, right? And then read down all of your accomplishments and the progresses that you've already made, everything that you've already built, who you become. I need you to catch that. Hello, be fully present in the moment. So step one, nugget one is to remember your past. Document the wins in your life and the times that you did pick up and the times that you did push through. And then when nugget number two, be in the moment of the awareness so that you're conscious of when you need to regroup back to the list. I know. Then the third nugget I want to give you, and I'm going to end here, is I want you to stay focused on the future. I want you to forward think about what's next for you. See, God has already promised us that we will be, that God will be with us, and that everything that we need is already in us, and blessings along the way going forward will be for us, and that we can activate the spirit of our ancestors whenever we want. And God has named that we will never walk alone in these valleys of darkness. God has promised that we will soar like eagles, and we all have this purpose. And God reminds us that constantly by bringing people into our lives. And when you notice that you're doing the same thing, if you're blessing people the same exact way, or if you're showing up encouraging and motivating, that is your calling. That is a gift. If you're singing a song and it's changing someone's mood, if you're wearing a bright color and your fashions are grand and you're walking down the street and it is changing how people feel, if your skin is so beautiful and you put some cocoa butter on it and it shines bright like a diamond and people are just in awe at your beauty, if your thickness is making people just remind them that I too can be thick and it's okay, that is your calling. You must finish your work. Your work cannot end because of some experiences that has gotten you down. You must learn to pick yourselves up. You must learn to not lean to the discouragement because it is here to destroy you and to end your work. You must believe that there is something greater ahead. There is something that is more for you. That's the future that I'm talking about. You must know that winning is what we seek, but there were times when we may encounter some challenges that we may take a loss. I need you to catch that. But we can't end the work there. We have to keep our eyes on the prize. We must, like they say in the month of May, we must be thriving. We must be refreshed. We must shine like a diamond. We must activate the beauty within. We have to take full opportunity of our future. We must select and hit the yes so that we can pick up and move forward. Yes, your past is very important. There's a lot of good information that you can reinforce your strength and confidence. You can change the narrative so that when people start to shout these trigger words, it will automatically bookmark good stuff, the good work, the good thinking, the good times in you, so that you won't have to have a discouraging moment. The present is powerful. I need you to catch that because it allows us to be more aware so that we can fully be in fleet mode and stay and leave a thriving life into our future, which is the catalyst for our hope and our faith. Nehemiah got the wall built, y'all. He didn't get discouraged no matter what the challenges was or what he encountered, no matter what was being said, no matter how vulnerable the city was. He was committed to the work. He reminded his people of the calling, their goal, God's protection. He was fully aware in the moment, which allowed him to shift and provide protection. And I need you to catch that. Because had Nehemiah lean to the discouragement, he would have never came up with the plan to put the soldiers in certain positions where the most vulnerable areas was, so that when the attack did come, you were strong, you were strengthened, you was wise, you had courage, you didn't show up weak, you didn't show up in fear. I need you to trust this plan. I need you to go back to your past. I need you to remember the good times. I need you to remember the wins. I need you to remember how you got through those other losses and those hurt times. Trust that the unknown space is not really unknown. You have so many examples of winning moments in your life. You have everything that you need to pick up. You can reinforce yourself with memories of how great and powerful you really are. I know that through times that has been stripped away from us, but I need you to know that you are from great people. You are from great power, and everything that you need is already in you. You were born to be great, and there's more and greater things ahead of you, but you cannot stop where you are right now. You cannot end your work right now. There is more to be done. There are more people in this world that will continue to need your light so that they can see their way through it. I need you to catch that. Remind yourselves of those times so that you can pick yourself up. Reinforce your power of those memories. Become fully aware in the moment, and so that you can feel and review your list and get clear about your next moves. Know that the work cannot end. This is not how it's supposed to end. This is not the finishing set. This is not the end of the road. Future is full of life and blessings are waiting for you. You got to have faith and you got to trust the plan. You need to trust the God in you. Do not push God down anymore. Let God ignite within you and let the power of God. Don't be afraid of the power. Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to show up in spaces that you're the only one. Don't be afraid to be the one that says, yup, I'm mucked up. Don't be the one. Your work will bless other people. Your work is going to bless the community behind us. Know your calling, know your work. And the only way you can get clear about that is not to allow the 7 deadly Ds to hinder you, to barricade you, to force you back in bondage, to have you suspended from a space of fear and knowing that there's power in the name of love and love resides in you. God gifted you with love and put together the perfect DNA to create who you are. Your work is not finished. Your work is not finished. I need you to know that. Trust that your past is more than enough to create that list that will reinforce a new narrative, a new way of moving forward. It will bring awareness to you. It will help you in the moment to get clear about so that you can see the next steps to picking it up. Remember, our future is depending on our work, our power, our trust, and our love. I hope you receive that word. I hope that you hear how discouragement can be so powerful. It is an emotion that has been bookmarked, but we have the tools to counter it every time it shows up. I don't want to be a winter soldier no more. I don't want to allow trigger words to change my mood. I don't want actions to hinder me from my full potential. My work is not finished. Like Nehemiah, he got the wall built. It's time for us to continue our work so that we can build an amazing, powerful, loving future for our people.